potassium pump is used, right, to reset it, but then they get out of balance somehow. How did they get out of balance in the first place? As in, one gets inside the cell, one gets outside the cell. Right? And heat?
Yeah.
Sure, you can eat a whole lot of sodium, which we tend to do, but we mess that up a little bit. But why do we care? That's really the point. Why do we care if they are not? Again, they're not balanced out, or by definition not balanced out, because of that sodium potassium pump has to pump against this concentration gradient in the first place, right? But what do they do? Why do we care that those two things are always linked together in our heads?
Don't you want the inside of the cell to be a little bit more negative?
What's that?
Don't you want the inside of the cell to be more negative?
Well, yeah, we definitely want the inside of the cell to be more negative. So it has potassium, it's not nearly as much potassium inside as you have sodium outside, right? Because we want that negative, yeah? Yeah, for action potentials, right? That's all I'm trying to get at, is, you guys know this, right?
Yes.
I seriously doubt there's anybody in here that doesn't know that sodium and potassium are outside the cell, inside the cell for action potential so you can contract muscles, right? So, yeah, that's, again, one of the major points, right? So sodium, again, major cation outside of the cell, which makes potassium the major one inside the cell. Again, sodium's level is somewhere around 145-ish, give or take, right? Potassium's like 5 max, really. Okay? So there's a lot more outside. And that's why you have that negative cellular membrane, that whole action potential thing. Sodium channels open up, you know, it goes flying into the cell, you have your action potential, potassium goes flying out of the cell, right? You have your hyperpolarization thing, all that stuff that you learned before. But obviously it's very important because it can really, really mess with your muscle contractions and heart if they are really, really thrown off. Okay? Oh, tonicity. Does anybody happen to know what tonicity means? A gazillion-dollar question, right? You've heard of tonicity before. Again, I'm pulling things way from earlier classes, right? I imagine you heard from tonicity back in 201, maybe even in high school biology if you took that. Okay, that had to do with hypertonic, isotonic, you know that? Remember that sort of thing?
Mm-hmm.
Where you had like blood vessels exploding or shrinking, right? Okay, all that is how much water you had inside of a cell, right? Or how much water you had outside of a cell versus inside of a cell. Really, what we're back to is we're back to osmosis again, right? So tonicity actually, that's supposed to mean equal. Actually, the word tonicity, for all practical purposes, because it's measuring, you know, basically your osmotic pressures, you can kind of make that as the same word as like osmolarity. Okay, ever heard the word osmolarity?
Yeah.
Okay, basically it means the same thing. Again, we're talking about how much stuff versus water ratio, right? Because that's what we're talking about with tonicity too. That's why red blood cells can either shrink or blow up, right? Stuff versus water. It's osmosis. It's all osmosis. Osmolarity, by the way, there's also a word called osmolality. That means the same thing. And guess what? They all mean the same thing as concentration, okay? Now concentration is a word that I think most people can wrap their heads on pretty easily, wrap their heads around pretty easily, right? So again, if we're back to this whole little beaker thing, right? If you have a bunch of stuff in the fluid, would that be high concentration fluid or low concentration? What would you call that? say that's a lot of stuff. I'll make it even more. Would that be high or low concentrated? Would that be concentrated or dilute?
Concentrated.
Okay, so it's concentrated. It's concentrated, it's not dilute, okay? Therefore, we'd say it's highly concentrated, okay? Which means that, is that high osmolarity or low osmolarity? High osmolarity, this means the same thing, okay? High tonicity, low tonicity? High tonicity, okay, it's all pretty much the same thing, okay? So, what we do is, again, we take that same beaker and we just turn it into a blood vessel, okay? That's it. We turn it into our bloodstream, okay? So if we take all of that stuff, whether that is, again, sodium or